Good evening and welcome to
Monday Movie Madness with your hosts,
Mel and
Zim.
All right, I do see us there, so I'm going to put this down so we can see chat better. Good evening. Again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I bid you welcome. Little October Dracula there.
The week of Halloween, for our Halloween episode, I feel like I should wear my fangs and talk like a vampire the whole time.
That would be a wonderful idea.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
I won't. I might wear the fangs, but that'll be it. Are we doing our show in costume?
I could talk like Frankenstein's actor.
I'm pretty sure we won't do the show in costume, because that would be interesting.
We should.
The best you're going to get from me is the fangs. I'll put my fangs on.
I still gotta decide what I'm gonna be.
I still need to order my fangs.
Yeah.
Because my cap's broke, and I need to it's a whole thing, because you have to, like, boil the stuff and then put it in, and, like, it's a whole process, because you have to fit them to your teeth.
Ah, okay. Did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why they sit so nicely. As I just click them right in. Yep. And they just stay. Done. You can have conversations and whatever, and you just have fangs.
Yes, how very excellent.
Yes, it is. I agree. Vampires rock my world. As long as they don't glitter. But tonight, we are covering 28 Days, not to be mistaken with 28 Days Later.
Yeah, no zombies in
no
this
zombies,
one.
no.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 2000.
Yeah, so it's...
To make Zim feel old, that is the year that I graduated high school. It's rated PG-13. It's about a woman sentenced to 28 days of rehab. And it explores addiction and recovery. Because we are discussing addiction tonight, I wanted to take a moment to give you the hotline for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They will help you if you have any substance abuse problems at all. They will get you help. So if you have that fleeting moment where you're ready for help, call this number. It is 1-800-662-HELP. 1-800-662-HELP, and HELP is 4357 if you don't have the letters written on your numbers. Yeah. This movie is awesome, but it really addresses addiction. And I'm just going to say off the bat, if you do not believe that addiction is a disease, you're on the wrong channel and you should just go elsewhere. I'm just going to put that out there. I have a degree in psychology. Addiction is absolutely a disease. It is out of people's control. It is not a choice. It is not a decision. It is something that many people are genetically predisposed to. It is 100% a disease, and it is as dangerous as cancer. So if you don't agree with that statement, you've stumbled into the wrong place, and you should stumble your way back out. This movie was nominated for one award, which is disappointing. It should have been nominated for many more. This is one of my most favorite Sandra Bullock movies, and frankly, one of my favorite movies in general. Because it's just really, really excellently done across the board. It did win that one award as well. It won the Bambi Award. Mm-hmm. Sandra Bullock won it. It's the German Award for Excellence in International Media and Television, that inspires the German public. So I guess they found it inspirational.
Yes.
It's cool. That's a good award to win.
Yeah.
I like it.
I didn't know what that was. I had to look it up. I was like, oh, what's the Bambi Award? And I read all this information.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Why don't we have awards like that?
We had that, yeah.
Yeah. Like, hey, this movie really inspired people to learn more, do more. I didn't turn my ringer off. My bad.
Oh, you're not getting credit for attendance.
My bad. It's fixed.
Was a GA at college.
So we're shaking up our format again tonight a little bit. We're going to just discuss the characters as we go instead of discussing the actors and then the characters. We're going to just do like each actor and character as we go. We're trying to streamline the show a little bit so it's not quite as long, especially because we both tend to like goof off a bit and get a little bit distracted. We end up talking about like 20 other movies over the course of discussing whatever movie we're trying to discuss, and horrible jokes. Very bad jokes. We're full of bad jokes. So we're just trying to streamline the content a little bit, just so it's a little bit easier view. Our goal is to get it down to an hour instead of the hour and a half plus that we were doing before. So
as long as we don't spend half an hour talking about bowel movements in bathrooms, we should be good.
I can't believe we talked about poop for so long last week. I don't even
See last week's episode, yes. Ocean's 8.
Yes, view our episode all about Ocean's 8. We definitely got off track, and it was
just a little bit.
It was
missed it by that much.
It was bad. Oh, we are recording. Why are we still recording? I need to adjust my button. I don't need to record because we're on YouTube now. Like, it just does the whole thing. I don't need to take the extra step.
Just do it.
We moved over here from Twitch like a month ago, and I'm still messing with things a bit. Just a bit. Yeah. A bit. Keep finding things that I can change now. All right, so let's start.
Let's get into it.
You hit the director.
Cast and director overview. Yep. All right, so our director is Betty Thomas. She is most known, according to IMDb, for The Howard Stern Show, 28 Days, John Tucker Must Die, and True Beverly Hills. Classic 80s movie right there. Do you know that one?
Nope.
Shelley Long, she's like in Beverly Hills and takes over the Girl Scout troop, and like instead of like it's Beverly Hills, right? So stereotype, they don't want to be out camping, so she makes her own badges for the girls, because they're like Beverly Hills girls, but they're not girls who fit in anywhere in Beverly Hills. So she starts making her own badges for them, and the scouts like freak out and like, you can't do that, and they're all like, watch us, we're gonna do what we want. And this is really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No, I haven't heard of it. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen plays Eddie Boone.
Eddie Boone. Baseball player.
Yes.
He's addicted to
drugs and girls.
Yeah,
it's girls and drugs and drugs.
Wasn't it
girls?
Cocaine and sex specifically?
Yeah, I think it was cocaine and sex. Yeah, because she cracks a joke about snorting women.
Yeah, because he said something. He says that snorting women, it's this vicious cycle, and she was like, "What, were you trying to snort me?" And
hi, Tegwin. Welcome.
Hi. I'm
sure that is supposed to say glamping. You're missing the. Yep.
What's glamping?
Glamping is glamorous camping. It is not camping. It's when people have like a really fancy RV.
Oh, no. They don't do stuff. It's more like them making clothes.
Glamping is basically camping, but without like giving up any amenities.
I've done that. That's still fun.
It is fun, yeah. It's not the same thing.
But it's not as in
camping,
a tent, no.
Yeah. And so it's been deemed glamping, and a lot of times it's done with like a really fancy RV. Like we've talked about doing. It's taking an RV and just like hitting all 48 states.
I would love to do that.
It would be fun.
That would be so cool. Honestly, I would drive up through.
Drive through Canada to get to Alaska.
To do Alaska too. I mean, it's hard to take an RV to Hawaii. But. And even if you got it there, it's hard to do anything there.
But you could fly to Hawaii and do like a van life thing, where you rent a van and
it's really not much.
Check out the Big Island
like
at least.
Okay, it's like it's not like you can even go a lot of places.
No, okay. So here's what you do. You do 49 states plus a little bit of Canada. In the RV, or all of Canada, frankly, because why not? Or at least
I'm not doing the Northwest Territories. Right. That's not happening.
And then you fly to Hawaii, and you get a sailboat, and you sail around the islands. Right? Ooh. If money were no object, guys, why did I just do that with my sore arm?
Well, if money were no object, we would just get a boat, a nice yacht, and just
live on it. Like we would need a house. Get a satellite internet so we can still do our show. Live on a yacht. The end.
Yeah.
I would absolutely do that. If money were no object, I would not need a home. I would just live in a boat and go wherever the hell I felt like.
Right.
Back on track. Viggo Mortensen, IMDb, most known for Lord of the Rings trilogy, obviously. Captain Fantastic and Eastern Promises.
I really want to see Captain Fantastic.
I don't think I've heard of Captain Fantastic.
It's one where his wife dies and they have like 7 kids or something, and he decides to raise them off the grid.
Oh, I did see a preview for that.
Yeah, I really want to see that. I haven't gotten to it yet.
I also have not heard of Eastern Promises. I have seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy, though. The director's cut. Because I'm a nerd.
All 12 hours.
I have only done all 12 hours the once, though, that you came and we did it. Like, we made a day of it.
Yeah.
And, like, we had themed food and everything.
Yep.
And we did that for a couple things. We did it for Star Wars as well, didn't we?
We did Star Wars. And
it was before the new trilogy existed, but the prequel trilogy existed.
Yeah, so it was just the 6.
We did all 6 movies and had, like, Star Wars-themed food.
And then we did Pirates of the Caribbean. And that was when it was just the 3.
Just the 3, yeah.
And had, like, scurvy dogs.
Scurvy dogs, yes.
Yeah.
In case you guys would like to know what scurvy dogs are, it is hot dogs with sauerkraut.
Yeah.
Because sauerkraut helps fight scurvy, because you didn't know that.
Right.
Very high in vitamin C.
Everything we would do would be themed to... We'd get, it might be everyday stuff, but we would name it.
We're just waiting until our kids are old enough and then we're going to do that stuff again. They're just not there yet. Not there yet.
Not there yet.
But those are fun.
Yes.
But it's an all-day thing. Like, it's one of those things where you just, like, leave it on the TV playing through. Like, Lord of the Rings. It's 12 hours of movie.
Right.
And you just leave it playing. And, like, people have conversations during the slower scenes. You come and go. You go make your food. You go make your drinks. And you have it playing all day. And you just...
have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Eat like a hobbit. And,
sometimes you drink like a hobbit, too.
It comes in pints? Wow, I can't believe that just happened. In unison, guys, not rehearsed. God, we suck. Anyway, I have to admit, when we were watching it, it's been so long since I've seen Viggo Mortensen in something. I sat there the whole movie going, I know him. Why do I know him?
When he was in Hidalgo, which was pretty popular. Okay.
Yeah, the entire movie. I was like, I know this face. Why do I know him? 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 The entire movie. And I'm like, why do I know this man? Because it's Viggo Mortensen.
And I think by that time, Lord of the Rings was filming.
2000?
Yeah.
So it came out in 2000. Which means it probably filmed in 99.
Right. It was filming before I moved to Texas the first time. And I moved in 99. Remember, they filmed 3 movies at once. 12 hours plus cutscenes. So...
I thought the 12 hours included the cutscenes.
No, I promise you they did not use every bit of footage filmed.
Of course they did.
Although there were the 9 endings on Return of the King.
And the 16,000 views of the ring in Frodo's hand. So, like... They did. They absolutely used every scene in the director's cut.
I like that.
Because who needs to look at the ring in their hand that many times? Put your wedding ring back on their hands. Yeah. So it's Viggo Mortensen. So
yes.
I couldn't place it. But I think, like, I have seen him in some other things, but the thing I know him from is Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. And he looks a bit different in that because there's long hair and, like, swords and leather.
Wow.
Didn't look like a baseball player.
Okay.
So yeah, the whole time I was like, I know his face. I just, not until we were reading this, and I was like, Viggo Mortensen was in this? Oh, that's who it was! so 10 minutes ago.
Do you think that he contacted her later?
I don't know.
After the movie? They certainly bonded, at least friends.
Because they were friends. Because that's even when he stops the car at the end and he's like, look, if you don't think I'm worth being your friend because I made a mistake, that's on you.
Right.
And I agree with that to a certain extent. Like, you can't just, like, toss someone's friendship out the door because they make a mistake. Because people make mistakes. And that's human and that's just the way it is.
Well, and he was an addict who was then dealing with something very traumatic.
And
that's, he fell back on one of his addictions.
He did, and he hadn't been there as long as her. Because
Yep.
she was about halfway through her treatment when he showed up.
Yep.
So he's still working through his stuff a lot more than she is. And addiction recovery it's a lifelong journey. It's not something that happens in 28 days. 28 days teaches you the tools you need to continue.
Sure.
And then you spend the rest of your life fighting the urge. And so, like, I think that the point he was trying to make was, if you're going to completely ditch our friendship because of this one mistake, then it's your loss. And I agree, frankly.
Yeah.
And I think that he's a good friend because he also is like, what's his name? Jasper. He's like, Jasper's bad for you.
Yeah.
Like, he's dangerous for you. And he was right.
Absolutely.
And I think partly him saying that, and partly what happens when she does meet back up with him after she leaves
the rehab.
Rehab, thank you. I was like, what is the word?
We chant here. It's a pig.
Serenity prayer is not for everybody. Some people prefer chanting. I'm sure that's true. So Eddie Boone is like, he's dangerous for you. And I think it's very evident because the very first thing that he does, they go out, they're talking about how to make their relationship work. And he wants to go hang out with all the people that are drinking and partying in the back at the bar. And like, he's dangerous to her. And
they're like holding a glass of wine right in her face.
Yeah. So I like their friendship.
Yeah.
And I like that it's platonic because he does kiss her at that one point and she's like, whoa, no. And that's when she cracks the joke about, were you trying to snort me? Because he was like, I'm so sorry. Like, it's the snorting at the women and the snorting. And like, she's like, what, were you trying to snort me? Like, she made a joke out of it to kind of lighten the mood, which was a really disarming, de-escalating kind of thing, which was cool.
I don't think she was there mentally as far as like, oh, I'm wanting a relationship with this. But I think that she saw that she was definitely attracted to him.
Why? Because he's male and she's female?
No.
I don't see any attraction there. I think they were just friends. They needed a bond and they needed somebody there going through it with them. And he was able to kind of reach her on her level. I mean, even with baseball, which she doesn't know anything about and doesn't know how to throw a ball, but he's still, like, you've got that whole scene with the baseball where he's teaching her how to throw the baseball.
Yeah.
It's that you don't want to look at where you're trying to go. You want to think about how you're getting there. And it's such a great analogy to what they're doing at rehab.
Yeah.
And so it's a beautifully written moment in the script, first of all. But it also is, I think, really indicative of their relationship as well. And then you have that conversation later as she's leaving where he's like, Jasper's bad news. Like, he's dangerous for you is the words that he uses. And so I think his character is very much a reflection of like what she's going through internally and how to do that journey. He's kind of the voice of that. And I think they have a really beautiful friendship. I really like his character. And I like the moment at the gas station when the kids realize who he is.
Oh.
And they want his autograph.
Yeah. And the dad realizes...
And the dad because they're like, where's your car? I bet you've got an awesome car. And the dad sees the bus with the rehab facility's name on the side and kind of gets this look on his face. And I was telling Zim that, like, when we watched it, I said, I wish they would have given the dad a line because I can't tell if that face is judgment or I hope this works for you, because it's not really clear. The facial expression is fairly ambiguous. And he gives him that look again before they pull away. Like, the kids get in the car and he gets ready to pull away. And like, he looks like he wants to say something, and I wish they would have had him say something, because I feel like what would have been really cool, because that face could have been one of encouragement. I think it would have been really cool if before he pulls away, like, you can do this. We look forward to seeing you back on the field. Yeah. Like something encouraging there to make it clear what that face is. However, I also think it's important to note that they didn't give the dad a line because I think that shows Eddie not knowing what it is. Because then Eddie's got that confusion as well. Like, oh my God, they know that I'm in rehab. And so Viggo Mortensen gets to kind of play off of that as well. So I like that there's not a line there, but also, like, for me personally, like, I want to know what that facial expression means. And I can't tell.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty good at reading people. And so, like, the fact that I can't tell is really frustrating. I'm good at people, and I can't tell. It drives me crazy. Every time I watch the movie, it's the only moment in the movie where I'm like, say something! Anything. Just say anything. Like, dude, my kids look up to you. Like, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Like, but put words there because, that one moment, I can't figure it out. And I've seen this movie many times.
So Jasper, yes, the asshole.
Played by
Dominic West,
who always plays an asshole.
I was actually, when I was doing his IMDb known for, it said The Wire, Chicago, Punisher, Warzone, and the newest Tomb Raider. And I was like, Chicago? Who was he in Chicago? She's the guy she's cheating on her husband with that she shoots.
He's the asshole in that. Yeah. Because when we were watching, I was like...
Roxy Hart shoots him.
I was like... I don't know if I've ever seen this guy not play an asshole.
Yeah, in John Carter of Mars. Asshole.
He's really good. So sorry, Dominic West, if you are not actually an asshole, but you're very good at playing them, apparently. I also feel kind of bad because I had this conversation about Tom Felton the other day as well, where I feel bad for him because he played such a good little shit as a child that he just constantly gets cast playing shits.
You need to see the first of the modern Planet of the Apes.
Is he an asshole in that too? Everything that I've seen him in, he's playing like either...
He gets a job working for the company that's doing it and doesn't really get it, so he kind of starts out as an asshole, but then as he gets what they're doing to the apes, he turns.
Ooh, I love character journeys.
So
that sounds right up my alley, but it's Planet of the Apes,
which is epic. How can you not do it?
I hate Planet of the Apes.
But that's not the old cheesy makeup.
I know, but I hate the Planet of the Apes so much that like the idea of watching it just is like, oh
so
God,
good.
why would I do that to myself?
Anyway, except for the Tim Burton remake, that was horrible.
My point though is like all the stuff that I've seen him in since Harry Potter, he's played an asshole, and it just seems so unfair because he was a kid. Like, let him play more, like, good guy stuff. And same thing with Dominic. Dominic West is gorgeous. He's got the British accent going for him. Like, surely he could play some nice guys. I mean, like, surely he could do it. Nothing I've seen him in is that the case.
Well, I'm going to go off on a Tom Felton. Is that his name? Mm-hmm. Tangent here.
Okay, let me finish my thing about Dominic West then. And so let me just say, though, like, bad guys are the more fun characters to play. So, like, share the wealth. Don't just keep casting the same people as the assholes, because some of us like playing assholes too.
Some of us are assholes.
All right, so what's your
tangent? Two things. You should also see Get Him to the Greek, where he plays himself and is really cool.
Okay.
And two, I remember that when the...
Tom Felton. We're talking about Tom Felton now.
Yes.
I was like, what?
When the official Harry Potter app released and you could take the quiz to be put in your house.
Yeah, he's a Gryffindor.
And she, the author...
J.K. Rowling?
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise her. She always thought he was a Gryffindor to begin with.
Yeah, he's like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Is like super nice. Like if he is the person that he presents to the world, which not everybody is, but the person that he is in public is like really, 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 really nice. If you follow him on Instagram, he's always doing like lives and videos and stuff. He shares fan art all the time. He's always loving on fans. He's always sharing like music that he's written.
I just love the way he always spit out Potter.
It's not Potter. It's Potter. Gotta get it juicy. So Dominic West. We did the list, right?
Yep.
So he plays Jasper. Jasper is her boyfriend. He's her party partner. at the beginning of the movie and really does not get what she's doing.
He thinks she's there to just get through it because she's sentenced.
Yeah.
And at first she is.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she asks him
It's
to
the way to
bring
not
more
go to jail.
Vicodin and everything. But then she has a turn, as I think a lot of people who go through this probably do, and decides that she actually is worth saving. And
it's not
he
that
doesn't get that.
That's not quite what happens. It's not that she feels like she's worth saving. It's that she doesn't want to die. She has that near-death experience because she jumps out of a window. And I love that scene. That's probably my favorite scene in the movie. I don't know if that's...
Potato.
No. Because there's a difference in mentality between saying I'm worth something, I'm worth saving, and saying I don't want to die.
Okay.
And I don't think she's to that point yet where she feels like she's worthwhile. I think she's just made it to that point where she realizes what she's doing is going to kill her and she doesn't want to die. I think she gets to the worth saving eventually.
Okay.
But I don't think at that point she's there yet. I think it really is just like she says, like, I jumped out of a window. Who does that?
Yeah.
And she's like, normal people don't do that. Like, I don't want to die. And if you send me to jail, I'm sure that I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's really where it turns for her. It's when she falls and she hurts herself. And
he comes to propose like
champagne.
A third of the way through and brings champagne to drink in the boat. And awesome for her. She takes it and throws it overboard.
Good for her.
Yep. And then everybody has to tell her, oh, look, this guy's not good for you. And, oof, look at my package. And
We'll get there. Calm down. Yeah, so Jasper just doesn't get it. Right up to the end. Like, even when they're literally sitting there discussing the changes they're going to have to make in order to maintain their relationship. And he interrupts her to call out to some of their party friends who he realizes are there, and then volunteers both of them to go join them. And then when she chooses not to, he follows her outside. And as she's trying to come to terms with one of the things she learned in rehab, he's like making fun of her the whole time. Mm-hmm. And like he just really doesn't get it. Oh, we're going to get to the tiny little clusters too, Tegwin. Don't you worry. I really tried not to say the lines with the movie this time. I know I said a few because I couldn't help myself, but including the tiny clusters. But yeah, I've seen this movie a lot. It's one of those movies that I'll just like quote things. I'm that absolute asshole that will quote the lines like half a second before they say them, so that they're the echo, and I'm like, haha, I knew what they were going to say. Yeah, Jasper's a dick.
Yeah.
He is dangerous for her. Like, it's basically Viggo Mortensen lays it out for you if you haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lily, played by Elizabeth Perkins. According to IMDb, she's most known for Sharp Objects, Weeds, Truth Be Told, This Is Us. Oh, that's it. And This Is Us.
And This Is Us. I am actually shocked that Big was not on the list.
We're always shocked with things that are left off the list.
Yeah.
We never agree with the IMDb
Big was
list.
Such a huge movie. I mean, it made the list last week. And, yeah, I mean, that was the first thing I ever remember seeing her in.
So Lily is her sister.
Yes.
Smaller role. She's sort of a reflection of how oh my gosh, he was up late. That's fine. It works. Okay. I think Lily's role is basically to voice how the outside world sees what she's doing. Mm-hmm. I forgot her name again. Gwen, Sandra Bullock's character, is doing. And so it's always through Lily's eyes that you see like what's happening at Lily's wedding at the beginning. It's her facial expressions. I mean, everybody's looking at them that way, but she's the bride. And so you're kind of seeing through her eyes. And then later on, when she does come to family day and is explaining to Gwen some of the things that she's done, like, it's how the world sees what Gwen is doing, not the way Gwen sees what Gwen is doing.
Also, I think it's really important to the backstory. So, of course, they're sisters. Their mother, total addicts, alcoholic, died young, would pass out, and they'd like slap her in the face to wake her up. Almost killed them a couple of times.
Almost killed them, yeah, more than once.
And when she dies, Lily turns away from the fun and becomes very serious and has to distance herself from it, and so she doesn't give Gwen the attention she needs when Gwen starts to follow her mom's path, because she has to distance. She can't be a part of that, I think.
Well, and even before that, because they have a conversation towards the end where Lily's talking about the fact that she'd see Gwen walking home by herself, and she was so little. Like, I mean, that's way before you head down any path. And she's like, you needed someone, and I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's an interesting thing that Lily eventually sees, not that she's taking responsibility for Gwen's actions, because that's not really what's happening, but she sees how she didn't help. Like, she admits that she saw her kind of going down that path and at no point tried to turn her around.
Yeah.
Or reached out to help or anything. And I think that's a really important admission. That, like, I knew that you needed help, and I knew that you needed someone there for you, and I chose not to, and that's my fault. But I think that their relationship is going to be a lot better after the movie, because
I agree.
They start in a really bad place at the beginning, and even Family Day goes very, very poorly. And then she comes to visit her after this stuff happens with Andrea. And that's kind of where they have finally a heart-to-heart where they're talking, and they reach an understanding, I guess, where Lily kind of recognizes where Gwen is coming from, and Gwen recognizes damage she's done to Lily, and like sort of it's cliche to say, like, the first step towards recovery is recognizing there's a problem, and that goes beyond addiction. That's also in relationships. And so recognizing where the problem lies and where things went wrong in the relationship is sort of that kind of that first step for them, I think. And it shows a lot of, like, it leaves you very hopeful after that conversation that they're going to be in a better place.
Yeah.
And that she's going to be a really solid support person for Gwen.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very, Tegwin says that she was very critical of Gwen, and she was. Yeah. And I think that, I mean, like I said, I think that they turn things around. By that point,
Gwen had done so much to make Lily's life difficult. To the point where she says, you make it impossible for me to love you.
Yep.
At the beginning of the movie.
Impossible to love you, yep.
And by the end of the movie, she's like, you make it impossible for me not to love you.
Yeah.
So
it's big change in both, because also in that conversation, Gwen is saying, I'm sorry, I'm impossible to love.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, it's impossible to not love you. And so both of them, like, for Gwen, she's recognizing the problems that she's called, and for Lily, she's recognizing where she needs to be in Gwen's life. And it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. She's going to have a solid support person outside of rehab. Okay, Andrea.
Okay, Azura Skye plays Andrea. She's most known for One Missed Call, 28 Days, Bandits, and CSI Miami.
Yes, and we also, with her, while she does overdose in this, it's not actually suicide. She also does a lot of self-harm.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to take a moment to share the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is 800-273-8255.
If you or anyone you know needs help, call the number.
Please call. They'll talk you through it. They'll help you help them. They'll help you help yourself, whatever it is. They are trained specifically for those calls.
Yep.
And they are there to help you in a crisis.
Yes.
So please reach out if you need to.
So Andrea she's 16?
17.
17. She is Gwen's roomie at the rehab.
So I think it's important. She's 17. This is not her first stint in rehab. She's a heroin addict.
Yes.
And has apparently done rehab. They don't say how many times, but they give the impression it's been a lot.
At least twice before. At least, minimum.
Because she, even when they're coming up to leaving, she's like, have you ever left rehab? No, so you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
But you can really get the sense that she's done it a lot before. Like, this is routine for her at 17.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking. She's obsessed with let's do the fun stuff first.
Yeah, let's do it.
She's obsessed with a soap opera called Santa Cruz?
Santa Cruz.
Santa
Yes.
Cruz.
Santa Cruz.
Obsessed with it, and it's very funny.
Yeah. So
tiny little clusters of brain tumors.
And brothers and sisters.
And fathers, and like everybody's sleeping with everybody and pregnant from everybody else's babies. Like it's very, it's a very like.
It is.
It's a joke about what soap operas are like.
Soap operas, yes. It's hilarious. She's obsessed with it. Can't watch it because they only get TV time at night.
Mm-hmm. And it's already aired.
Gwen finds out that Eddie Boone
also
has someone recording it and sending him videotapes so that he can see it. And so they get the entire place obsessed with the show.
Like, well, not the whole place, but their whole house.
Their whole group gets obsessed with this show.
They all get to watching it together. Yeah, and it's all very funny. Tiny little clusters.
Yeah. So one of the main characters.
Oh, it's just more tiny little clusters.
He's got some kind of disease that's tiny little clusters in his brain, and so he'll like.
It's tiny little clusters of brain tumors.
Yeah, and he's like. He starts shaking. Oh, the doctor just go. Oh, it's just more tiny clusters.
More tiny clusters. And by the way, your daughter is pregnant with my child. It's all kinds of silliness. It's great humor, kind of amidst some serious stuff happening. When you finally see it, like some heavy stuff has started happening because this movie's really good about having a nice mix of. Comedy and seriousness and heartbreak. You get a good blend of everything in it. And so part of how they do that is with this Santa Cruz soap opera doing some absolutely ridiculous things, absolutely hilarious things.
Right.
And it breaks up some of the heavier moments to give you a second to laugh and sort of process what's happening. Because there's a lot to this movie. Sorry, we just had a window pop up here. Sorry.
All right. So, so I will freely admit the first time I saw this in the theaters, cried like a baby. So,
I cry every time I watch it.
I did not this time, but I've seen it so many times. I think
but for me, it's the opposite. So. Like I've seen it so many times, I know when I'm getting close. Because I know the steps in the story very well now. And so when Andrea overdoses, she dies.
Yeah.
And it's I'm going to get choked. It's very sad. She's 17. And so like every time I watch it, I start crying a little bit sooner because I know it's coming.
So the details behind that, she's getting ready to leave.
Yep.
And the great thing is, she ends up having this argument with Gwen and says to Gwen, like Mel said, that have you ever left rehab? So yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what it's like.
Yeah. And so instead of singing Lean on Me
for the bazillionth time,
Gwen decides to write out a script of their own.
Santa Booze. Yeah. And so it's a rehab version of Santa Cruz, which was very funny.
Yes. And we haven't gotten to him yet, but Alan Tudyk's character
plays the guy with the tiny clusters.
Yeah. He's like, the tiny clusters.
But they do, like, they give this great send-off, and it's sweet because they end it with, one of the things that they do at this rehab center is they put a sign on you. So Gwen's sign was, confront me if I don't ask for help.
Uh-huh.
And so it's something that you struggle with, that it kind of brands you, labels you essentially with what you need, so that other people, like, essentially accountability. Personally, I don't necessarily agree with, like, sticking signs on people. I feel like that's kind of mean, but also in rehab, some of what you do in rehab, some of what you deal with in rehab is not nice. Like, you have to kind of push people out of their comfort zone. So I don't know.
Anyway,
that bit of it,
sweet.
yeah.
The signs
but it's
they
sweet.
make
The
are very
signs
sweet.
they make are advice for her as she leaves.
Mm-hmm. And then someone from the outside sent her one of those sock monkey plush. And later on, Gwen finds her on the floor of their bathroom.
Oh my god. It was in the sock monkey.
Yeah. You didn't...
How many times have I seen this movie?
It's ripped open.
I don't even...
I'm always
looking at her.
Oh yeah, if you look at the background, the sock monkey is ripped open from the back and sitting on the counter, and the needle's sitting on the ground, and she's sitting there.
How many times have I seen this movie? Got it. Because I'm always like, how did she get it?
Yeah, so someone mailed it, someone sent it to her.
The therapist at the beginning was like, well, you know, people will find ways. Like, there's ways. So somebody sent her the heroin.
Yeah.
And she overdosed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the needle and the spoon is sitting on the toilet.
Yes. I saw those stuff because they show the scene, like they focus on that stuff. I didn't see the sock monkey. Yeah. I guess. Wow.
Nice people out there.
Yeah. Well, it's probably her dealer or somebody that encourages her and
knew she was getting out. And
to be fair, I'm not a big fan of her mom either, who didn't bother to show up for family time, because that's why she was cutting herself, was because her mom yet again did not turn up. And so it's like, if you have a loved one who's going through rehab is hard. If they call and they say, I need you to show up on this day, you show up. Whether you want to be there or not, get your ass over there. Because you don't want to be that reason they use one more time, or that reason they cut the wrong place, or that reason that they give up and start using again. Like, if you're going to be selfish, look at it that way. Look at it a selfish way. Do you really want to live with that responsibility?
Yeah. Well, and Gwen, so when the mom comes to claim Andrea's body and belongings, I mean, she looks like she's been crying, but Gwen, like, sees her and is just like, I feel like Gwen has this, like...
You didn't help.
You didn't, yeah, I mean, this is on you. Where the hell were you?
Yeah. It's not on her, but you show up for family day, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. You've got somebody in rehab and they're doing family day, you get your ass there.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's, like, across the country and you would have to fly there and don't have the money for it, in which case, like, it is what it is. But, like, if you just local, have to drive a couple hours down the road.
Yeah.
Take the day off work and go. Because rehab is hard. Recovery is hard. It's an uphill climb. Basically having to reprogram, like, every part of the brain. Yeah. And they're dealing with a lot of, like, physical pain on top of it, because your neurotransmitters actually fire in a way to encourage you to perpetuate those behaviors. And so when you are not giving your body the thing that it needs, it's what actually causes withdrawals. So when you're not giving your body those things, you experience physical symptoms. Like, withdrawals are not just, oh, I'm misusing and want to. It is literally, your body is not, it's not even just detoxing. Everybody's like, oh, you're detoxing. It's not detoxing. Yeah. That's part of it. But your neurotransmitters, your neurons in your brain are firing, telling you you are going to die. They are responding, especially with opiates. Part of the issue with opiates is it retrains your neurotransmitters to require the opiates in order to prevent pain in the body. And so when you stop receiving those opiates, your brain stops receiving that signal that you shouldn't be in pain and believes that you are in pain. And so it fires all of your pain sensors in your body. So when people use opiates and then stop and then suddenly they're feeling a lot of pain, it is because their brain has been changed by the drugs. And now, because of a beautiful thing called neuroplasticity, your brain can change back, but it is a time-consuming process. It does not happen overnight. It is painful. It is uncomfortable. It makes you very, very sick. And when you already are used to using something as a crutch to deal with shit, having all this extra stuff on top of it, telling you physically that you need it, is also making you psychologically feel like you need it as well, because it's the crutch that you're used to turning to. And so the problem is kind of twofold and really, really difficult. So never knock anybody who's at rehab, even if they're there because they were ordered to be there, because it is fucking hard. Never done it personally and never will. Like, I will stay the fuck away from anything that could possibly send me down that road, because I don't want to have to do that. Because I studied the brain part of it, and it sucks. It sucks. There's a reason there's an opioid crisis in our country and our world. Bad news, guys.
Because Big Pharma pushed it as...
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But just so you know, if people are in rehab, like, don't judge them because they're in rehab. Like,
right.
they're doing it, and whether they're fighting it every step of the way or not, the physical aspects of it are going to happen with or without their cooperation.
Uh-huh.
The brain is going to go through that change either way. And so, yes, they can fight it, they complain about it, they can, fight with you tooth and nail every step of the way, but that physical change is going to happen in the brain. And so just doing rehab, whether they want to be there or not, whether they choose to be there or not, they are taking a step forward either way. So never knock anybody who's doing rehab. Never knock anybody who's been in rehab. They are the toughest folks you are ever going to meet in your life. And yeah, some of them go back to using, but it's a disease and they're still fighting it. Even the ones that don't go back to using are still fighting it.
Cool.
That's my soapbox.
Okay.
And that is why Andrea uses again.
Mm-hmm.
It's that same idea of she's struggling to deal with the fact that she's leaving and these people that she relies on and a mom that's not there. So she's 17 and going back into a world where she's going to be completely on her own because you've pretty much seen that her parents are not there for her. She doesn't have any family that shows up for family day. The people that support her are the people she's leaving. And she's 17. She's a kid. And so she uses, again, she returns to her crutch, which she clearly has returned to before after rehab because this is not her first time in rehab. And that I like the talk that's happening kind of as you're following Gwen as she's grieving. And there's a big seminar essentially.
Yes. And
the person speaking basically says, the reason this is so scary is I've heard so many people say, if I could only use one more time, and it's Andrea's one more time that killed her. And I think it's a really powerful line. It sort of happens in the background. Mm-hmm. You have to be listening for it because there's music playing and everything is sort of muffled because Gwen is hearing it but not hearing it. And so there's a really smart choice that's made in terms of the movie where a lot of the words that are being said are muffled and muted to the point that it literally does eventually just fade out entirely. You see her in a session with her therapist or her counselor, and you hear him speaking for a little bit, and then it just disappears. Mm-hmm. And it's very much, what is she actually hearing? What is she actually absorbing in those conversations and in those lectures? So, it's very sad. So now that we've discussed the saddest character in the movie, let's discuss the funniest character in the movie, Gearhart.
Yes.
Played by Alan Tudyk.
Go for it.
According to IMDb, he's most known for Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, Firefly, iRobot, and A Knight's Tale. All of them excellent movies. You don't like A Knight's Tale? Oh, you suck. I disagree entirely. And I also want to say, love you. I also want to say I am a massive Firefly fan. And a big part of that is Wash, although every single character in that show is phenomenal. They created such an incredible cast of characters in Firefly. If you have not watched Firefly, I feel sorry for you and you need to. You need to go watch Firefly. It is amazing. It's Nathan Fillion, Alan Tudyk, the tall girl. What is her name?
The tall girl.
Yes! The long hair. She's his second in command.
Oh.
She's been in a million
She was
things.
an angel. Is that who you mean?
Yeah.
Can't think of her name.
Oh, it's cast. Everybody in the cast you'll recognize.
And because I don't remember what they actually call her, but the prostitute.
Oh, Inora.
She's
Inora?
She's in tons
of stuff as well. I think the only person that I haven't seen in a ton of things is the guy that plays the doctor.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just they're all over the place. You will recognize everybody in the cast.
Yeah.
And it's so good. And Alan Tudyk plays a character named Wash, who's the pilot of the ship. And I love Wash. It's a leaf on the wind. If you know, you know. Rest in peace. Spoilers. But as much as I love Firefly, this is probably my favorite character that Alan Tudyk's ever played.
Yeah.
I love this performance from him.
I also love King Candy.
Yeah, but that's a voiceover. Like, that's, I mean, it's still acting. Like, most actors act while they do the voiceovers. You just don't get to see it.
Yeah.
But I love Gearhart so much.
Gina Torres, that's her name.
Gina Torres!
Yes.
There we go. Oh, Tagline helped. Thank you, Tagline. Oh, I'm way behind. So focus on her and too many tears you don't see at that point. Yeah, see, I'm not the only one who didn't see the monkey. Families get worn down when someone they love goes through it so many times. They do, and they lose hope. But when you lose hope, you take their hope away too. So you just, whether you believe they can do it or not, you still gotta drag your butt there. You gotta go. Gotta go to family day, guys. It's just, you just need to go. Even if you're going to yell at them and to tell them that you hate what they're doing, you still have to show up. Because when you don't show up, you don't care anymore. And whether you feel that way or not, whether you feel that way or not is irrelevant. Because part of the thing they're doing there's lots of yelling. There's lots of yelling at each other that happens in rehab. It's called sharing. It's called venting. And it's really useful tools. And so go and yell at them and go and tell them that you're disappointed or whatever. But go. You have to go.
So, Alan Tudyk, this was the
He's
first
been
thing.
in everything I've ever seen him in. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I said the same thing when we watched the movie.
He's probably someone we will cover. However, he very rarely is a starring role. He's usually
he's
a
character
support
roles.
Role. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a character actor.
Because he's good at playing the off the wall.
He's the pirate in.
He's got a show where he plays an alien, which is very, very funny. He is the main character in that. What is that called?
Oh.
Tagwin, do you remember what that show was called? It's sitting on your DVR.
He was since I think Wreck-It Ralph, he has done a voice in every single Disney movie.
Mm-hmm. And they all relate to other things that he's done. They get clever with like the names and stuff like that too. It's kind of funny. Yeah. He was the voice of Hey Hey, the chicken.
Yeah.
In Moana. Mm-hmm. Like, they just bring him in to do it. Just because it's him, and people are like, oh my god, it's Alan Tudyk. Yeah. And when I say people, I mean me.
And he was the voice of the droid in Rogue One.
He was the voice of the droid in Rogue One. Wow. Droid in Rogue One. Why is that hard to say?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Droid in Rogue One.
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien. There we go. It's very funny. So he plays an alien that's posing as a human doctor.
That could be a problem.
The resident. Yeah, it's very funny because he doesn't know anything about human anatomy. It's hilarious. And there's this one kid that can see that he's an alien. Just one. Everybody else sees the human face. And there's just this one little kid. And so he's like hell-bent on killing this kid. But it's Alan Tudyk, so it's all done in a very funny way. And literally in the first episode, he learns English by watching Law and Order. And so when he gets called in to, like, somebody gets murdered and they call him in to examine the body. And so every time he makes an observation, he goes, clunk, clunk. It's so funny. Look up Resident Alien. It's Alan Tudyk wonderfulness. Like, it's everything that he does beautifully all in one show.
Well, 28 Days was the first movie I ever experienced him in.
Same.
I was going to comment on A Knight's Tale. The reason we own it is not because I like the movie. It's because the DVD was the only DVD that ever had the original Spider-Man trailer with the two towers in it. Because after 9/11, they pulled that trailer and it wasn't put out on anything else. The only way you could ever get it was to buy A Knight's Tale.
Bought the movie for the trailer?
Because I wanted to have that trailer because it was really awesome.
Wasn't there a really bad movie you went to go see because of a trailer as well?
Yeah, Wing Commander. The Phantom Menace.
I think we've talked about that on the show before.
The Phantom Menace trailer premiered with the movie Wing Commander. And
You're weird.
I was not the only one.
You care a lot about trailers.
That movie had huge sales. And everybody walked out as soon as the trailers were over because it was so bad.
I think you cared too much about the trailers. Like, they're trailers. Put your money into the movie. I like A Knight's Tale. I'm happy we own it.
Well, because the trailer
was fun.
The trailer for Spider-Man, it wasn't a scene for the movie. It was an extra that they filmed just to be the trailer.
So what don't you like about A Knight's Tale? Like, I don't understand.
It's cheesy.
It's supposed to be cheesy.
But not in a good way.
You watch Sunny. Since when is cheesy
cheesy.
a problem?
Sunny's not cheesy.
You watch the original Star Wars. Star Trek. Sorry, Star Trek.
It's not cheesy.
It absolutely is.
It's dated effects, but it's not cheesy.
There's nothing wrong with cheese, especially if it's used correctly, like in a movie like The Knight's Tale.
No, it's not used correctly in that movie.
It's
That's
wonderful.
the problem.
It's so funny. I love that movie.
No.
And it's got lots of people in it that I absolutely adore. I think it's just gone over your head.
Alan
You're
Tudyk
stuck in
and
jokes.
Heath Ledger. Who else?
And isn't the guy that plays Vision in it?
Oh, yep, he is. Yep. Paul Bettany.
They're the ones I can think of off the top of my head. It has a lot of cast in it that. I think the movie's fun. It's a fun movie.
But the trailer for Spider-Man, it was a helicopter is escaping, it robbed a bank or something, and they're trying to stop it, and he spins a web between the World Trade Center towers and captures it.
What were we watching
And
that had the World?
The trailer.
Was it this?
Wasn't.
Was it this that we were watching that had the World Trade Center in it? And we were like, wow, it's weird to see those.
Yes.
I feel like it was this.
Yes, it was this.
Because we've only watched this in the proposal, and the proposal would have been post 9/11.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there is a glimpse of the two towers of this. We both were like, wow, it's weird to see those.
Yeah.
Because it's been so long at this point since they've been part of the skyline. But
So the movie Munich uses the World Trade Center in a really neat way. Munich, of course, is about the...
we're not going to make it at 9.
Sorry. Munich is about the terrorist attack on the Olympics that killed the Israeli Olympic team in the village, Olympic Village. And at the end of it, some of the Palestinians who did it are talking next to a river or next to a body of water, and at the end they pull back and they start walking away from each other, and they're in New York, and the two towers are standing behind it where they were talking. And so it's the link that happened because of Israel, and 9/11 partly happened because of our involvement with Israel.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it was filmed after 9/11, so they had to digitally put the towers back in there.
We do need to get back on track, though.
Okay, go ahead.
So Alan, the other thing I'll say about Gerhardt Alan Tudyk is pretty much the best one-liners in the movie are all his.
Yeah.
All of the best one-liners in the movie.
I'm never gonna get laid.
Yes. I would say if there was any reason to watch it, like if you're not interested in the other content of this movie, watch it for Alan Tudyk.
And have you ever noticed the shirt he's wearing in the flower shop at the end is a shirt of him, and it's advertising him as a stripper?
Is it him as a stripper? I thought it was a one-man show.
Oh, it looked to me like it was a stripper.
Because they're in New York, so I thought he was...
No, if you read the stuff, it looks like it's advertising him as a stripper.
Did you read all the stuff? Because it looked like... Because it says a theater that it's in.
Okay. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So, okay. But it is...
I think it's a one-man show. And it is him naked with like a box over his junk.
Which is hilarious.
With a package over his package.
Look at the package.
Look at my package. I like when he's just blubbering. Like he's trying to say how he feels about something, but there's no words.
That scene was totally improvised by him.
You can tell because as it goes around the actors, all of the actors are like really struggling. Like, you can see them struggling. Also, is the fork one improvised? I feel like the fork one's got to be improvised as well. You're on,
oh, yes.
they're on
yes,
like a little
yes,
shrimp fork,
yes,
and you're like
yes,
a big serving fork or a ladle.
That was all improvised, yes.
Because that
His
scene, it's
testimonial.
really like
Yes.
the longer he talks, and it like keeps panning to the other actors, and like
Yeah.
you can tell they're all just really like struggling to stay in character because it's just like...
There's always a fork in the road, and they have to go on one fork, and you go on the other, or they go down the back of the fork, or they're on a totally different fork that's smaller. They don't have as far to go.
No, one of those little like shrimp forks or crab forks that are just, and then you're on like you're on like a serving fork or you know
or ladle.
ladle. So funny. Watch it for Alan Tudyk, if for no other reason. Watch it for everything. This movie's phenomenal, but like Alan Tudyk really.
All right, and with that,
Alan Tudyk does Alan Tudyk, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, Steve Buscemi is in this. He has a relatively small role, but very important role. Plays Cornell. He is the counselor.
Yes. Who is also an addict himself.
He's also an addict. That's actually really common in rehab. That a lot of times the therapists and counselors are people who have come to it because they've gone through rehab themselves and want to get back, essentially. It's not unheard of. It's actually a really common thing. And they are, in my opinion, I think they're probably the best because they've been through it. I mean, if I were to go work someplace like that, I could tell you everything I've learned in books and everything that I've experienced by like secondhand by helping other people, but I cannot give you my firsthand experience and I cannot relate to you firsthand because I have never struggled with addiction.
Well, and what's cool is there's a scene where Gwen she had taken the Vicodin and thrown out the window earlier in the day, and now she's starting to have the shakes, which I read that I know we're not to her yet, but Sandra Bullock would drink a triple shot of espresso
so her hands
before
would shake?
Every scene that her hands had to shake so that they would.
My hands do that when I drink caffeine.
Yeah.
Because I barely drink caffeine anymore. I've kicked my... I guess that's the addiction I've dealt with. I had a caffeine addiction. I drank a lot of caffeine. A lot. I was doing like 10 shots of espresso a day to function. Like that was my that was my minimum.
Cigarettes, alcohol.
But I have chronic migraines, and my doctor was like, "You should cut back on the caffeine because it's just making it worse." And I was like, "I can't function without it." So I totally function without it now. Because the migraines are so much worse.
Anyway, she decides to go out the window to get to the Vicodin on the ground.
And it falls.
And while this scene is happening, Cornell, Steve Buscemi's character, is giving a speech that's basically his testimonial of what he went through. And where he decided that he didn't want to die. And it's her going through this trip and falling and injuring her leg and everything, where she decides she doesn't want to die. So it's like they're both kind of going...
There's so many just beautifully written parallels in this, where you're hearing one person tell a story as the other person is experiencing their version of that same story.
Well, I love it. One of the other things I really love about this movie is it's not just dealing with alcoholism or... it's alcoholism, drug abuse, sex addiction.
Yeah, it is addiction,
it
not
is just
not
addiction
substance
across
abuse.
the board. Yeah, exactly. Gambling. One of them is a gambler.
Steve Buscemi's character was a gambler.
One of the doctor. What was he?
I don't remember what he was.
But he was a doctor. He ended up killing someone because he was whatever he was. Yeah.
I don't remember.
So I don't remember, but yeah.
Anyway, but Steve Buscemi's, according to IMDb, is most known for Fargo, Ghost World, Reservoir Dogs, and The Death of Stalin.
All excellent movies. Check them out if you haven't seen them. Except for you. Don't watch Fargo.
There are some things missing off of this list.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not everything can be Billy Madison, but...
Well, and Steve Buscemi has been in so many...
Oh, sure.
Really amazing things and really notable things as well. I mean, Steve Buscemi's freaking awesome. He's good in everything. I don't think I've ever seen him have a crappy performance.
Coolest thing about Steve Buscemi is before he became an actor, he was a volunteer firefighter in New York City. And still lives in New York City. And on 9/11, he turned to his wife and said, I'm going in. He hadn't worked on the job in like a decade. And he went into his station and went down and started working on trying to save people.
I think I just fell in love with this man.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really he is cool. He's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Like there's what is it, Boardwalk Empire? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
where
never
it takes
seen
place
that.
in Louisiana, New Orleans, right? And he's like a mob leader or something like that.
I've never gotten to see
leader.
it.
I watched like the first episode. It was super violent, so I did not continue. But I really want to see it because it's Steve Buscemi, and like literally nothing he's ever done has been disappointing. But it's so violent. It's an HBO show. It's like an HBO show. I mean, it's
why I was saying do not watch.
Violent as humanly possible.
I love Fargo, but don't watch it.
Oh no, it's not for me. That was I knew that already.
Yeah.
Because my mom watched it and she was like, "Don't watch this movie."
Yeah.
Got it. When people tell me not to watch things, I don't argue. Because I don't do like lots of gore and violence and stuff.
There's a really great scene in Fargo though where they're interviewing two girls. So he's one of the bad guys, and the bad guys get a couple of hookup. I don't know if they're prostitutes or they just pick them up at a bar, but they pick up these two girls, and the police are interviewing them, try and find the bad guys, and one of them is describing Steve Buscemi, and she was like, he was kind of funny looking. Yeah. And they're like, oh, he's funny looking. Yeah, he was uncircumcised.
No disrespect to Steve Buscemi, but it's already after 9 o'clock and we have not even gotten to Sandra Bullock yet, who is our focus this month.
Yes. So
we've got it. So this month's actress is Sandra Bullock.
Played Gwen.
Who played Gwen Cummings.
Yep.
IMDb, most known for Miss Congeniality, The Proposal, Gravity, and Speed. My personal recommendations are Gravity, Miss Congeniality, Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood, Speed, and Time to Kill, which I had not seen before this show. I thought A Time to Kill was really fantastic. I'll never watch it again, but it was a really good movie. And a really good performance on her part.
My personal recommendations are Miss Congeniality, Speed, Forces of Nature, A Time to Kill, and Demolition Man. Love it.
And we have actually talked about her quite a lot in relation to the other characters and the way that her character interacted with the others. I would like to add that this is probably one of my favorite Sandra Bullock roles as well, because it's not actually easy to play drunk and have it be believable. People tend to overact it because when you feel drunk, you feel like that's what you're doing. I think that she does a really honest interpretation of being completely out of control. Everything is funny. And just like the general, like even just the drowsy eyes when she's trying to think about things and do things, the way the speech slurs felt very honest to me. And then the struggle she goes through beyond that is, I don't think it'd be an easy thing to portray. And I didn't know that she was chugging so much caffeine so her hands would shake. Because one of the things I was going to note was like the handshake thing is very impressive and very real looking.
There was something else I just saw.
But it's just, in terms of a performance, like this is one of the best in my opinion. And granted, she's like won an Academy Award and all of that, and it was not for this, which is awful in my opinion.
Oh, and she spent 28 days in a rehab clinic to prepare for the role.
Good for her. So. But I think she does a really fantastic job of giving an honest portrayal of both the influence that she's under and then trying to overcome it and going through that journey from like fighting against it. I don't want to be here, not taking it seriously, to having that aha moment of, oh my God, I'm going to die if I continue down this road, to finding her self-worth and finding things worth living for and building the confidence and the self-reliance to get through it. And eventually, being willing to ask for help, which was one of the things that she really struggled with. Mm-hmm. And I think that across the board, she just did a really fantastic job with all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was like the complete package. If I were to say, if you want to watch a movie that shows Sandra Bullock's range, this is definitely one that would be on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, so we've done 2 other movies of hers so far.
Ocean's 8 and Time to Kill.
Time to Kill. Debbie Ocean, I mean, it wasn't like a deep character. It was fun, but she wasn't particularly deep. Ellen Roark.
It is actually Rourke, though. The
yes.
joke is that they say Roark
yes.
in the South.
Yes. Yes.
It's Rourke.
Yes,
Ellen
it
Rourke.
is Ellen Rourke. Yes. And she's... That character's a lot deeper, but...
I loved her performance in Time to Kill.
Yeah, I mean, she's this very liberal...
She's very confident.
Activist.
Yeah.
Strong woman. Has to deal with abduction, almost rape.
Part of what made me really like that character was the confidence that was being portrayed, where she was a law student. She didn't have her license to practice yet. She hadn't done the bar yet, and knew her worth and wasn't going to let anybody downplay it. And that was very cool to see. Like she's definitely, that character is definitely like a role model kind of character. Not that kids should be watching that movie, but, but if you as an adult need to be reminded that women totally kick ass, watch Ellen Rourke.
In A Time to Kill.
In A Time to Kill. Yeah. Because that is, like, she's like, no. So I don't even care. The only thing I didn't like, she was like, I don't care if you pay me. Because she basically was saying, I know I can help you on this. You know you need my help. And whether you know you need your help or not.
But the point was she was already rich, so she didn't need the money.
Well, that's true. But women do need to get paid more than they do.
Oh, sure.
I'm going to throw that out here. We just drop that in
here. But I don't
here.
think that was the point she was making.
It wasn't the point. And it's not the point of the movie either. But yeah, like she just was like, you need me, whether you're willing to admit it or not. And
keeps hammering it. Like,
here's
this information.
He turns her down repeatedly, and she just keeps helping him anyway. Because she cares about the case. She cares about what's happening. She's an activist, and she's got the confidence to push through it and the drive to keep going, even when men keep slamming the door in her face. It's just she's a really, really awesome character. But as much as I love Ellen Rourke, I do think it's Gwen Cummings. If you want to see Sandra Bullock's range, I think range was a good way to put it. You want to see everything she's capable of doing, watch this movie.
Yeah,
because she's very capable. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. And I love her rom-coms. Don't get me wrong, but like.
Well, this I think was the first serious movie I really saw her in.
It's over. This is the shit right here.
But I
like, where is it? It's backwards for me.
Yeah. I think this was the first real serious movie, because previously it had all been rom-coms or action movies. And I think this was the first one. Well,
even in the action movies, she tended to be like the romantic partner.
Or kind of ditzy. Because both Speed and Demolition Man, she's kind of ditzy.
She ditzy in Speed?
Yeah, I think
she was
so.
Ditzy in Speed. And in Demolition Man, it's not that she's ditzy, it's that in that future time, they all have this sort of naivety to them. Naivete.
Right, but she's...
So it's not that she's ditzy.
She's the expert on the 90s and can't get anything right.
Yes,
that's
because
why she's
it's
partnered
many
with
years
him.
in the future. That's literally the point they're trying to make, is that...
You really licked his ass. That's kicked his ass.
But that's the point they're trying to make, though, about how things pass down through history. Mm-hmm. Is like and I know you're a historian, so you're going to hate that I say this, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, because you're not talking to the people that are living it, and you're not experiencing it firsthand. No. While you can read some firsthand accounts, it's not going to be a complete picture. I didn't think she was ditzy in Speed either.
Okay.
I didn't think she was ditzy. I don't think ditzy is the right word either.
Okay.
Buffy is ditzy in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Okay.
Like, that's ditzy.
Okay.
Whereas she's an educated woman, but she's an educated woman of this future time where what they know of the 90s is not correct. It's not her fault the education is bad.
We'll have dinner at Taco Bell, which we would do anyway, so that's okay.
We eat dinner at Taco Bell all the time. Actually, lunch. We don't really do dinner at Taco Bell very often.
Not
we
very
definitely eat lunch at Taco Bell.
So
at least twice a week.
Other notable actors in it
Love Taco Bell.
include Mike O'Malley, Marianne, I'm assuming Jean-Baptiste.
That would be Jean-Baptiste.
Rennie Santoni, Diane Ladd, Margot Martindale, Loudon
Wainwright III.
Elizabeth Ruschio. That's all the people that are in her little house. And then Jack Armstrong, Judith Chapman, Susan Davis, and Rod McCary are all of the Santa Cruz cast. Yes. So, yep.
Yep.
And if you get the DVD, I don't know if it's on the Blu-ray, but the old DVD release of the movie has all of the footage that they shot of Santa Cruz, even stuff that wasn't used in the movie, to present to you as an episode of Santa Cruz. It's kind of cool.
For your enjoyment.
Yeah.
So real quick, I feel like we've discussed the movie ad nauseum at this point.
Yeah.
Parents, I do think this is a really excellent movie. It is rated PG-13, but I think that there is an educational element to this movie in terms of creating sensitivity towards people with addiction and teaching kids about what it's going to be like. Should a small kid see this movie? No.
No.
But if you want to show your teenager this movie, I don't see any reason not to. Like,
yeah,
I
think
once your kids are old enough that they're not going to look at it as like, oh, she looks like she's having so much fun when she's drunk, and they're going to grasp the struggle that she's going through. This is a fantastic movie to show them.
I would agree.
Oh boy, LOL. What is the oh boy? Oh boy, what? Anyway, so I would even recommend this as a parent, like when our kids are old enough to see this and understand what is happening in the movie, they will see this because I think it's a really important lesson to learn, and it's something that you need to be exposed to, whether and no parent wants their child to actually experience this firsthand, but it is something that everybody needs to be exposed to because addiction happens. It's out there in the world. There are people everywhere struggling with it. Whether you know it or not, you probably know somebody who is struggling with addiction, just statistically speaking. And I think it's really important that people are sympathetic towards it and understand that it is a disease. And I want to point out that in this movie, they say explicitly they call it a disease. And it made me very, very happy. Mm-hmm. Because there is constantly this debate about whether it's a choice or whether it's a disease.
Well,
I think it is a disease.
At least for the people I know who I've talked to about it, they say it's a choice because it is a choice to initially pick it up.
Not always.
You're
literally related to somebody that was born addicted to cocaine.
I am?
Or drugs or something, yeah. Wasn't her mom like on stuff when she was born? You told me that she was born addicted to, I'm not going to say names here because that's really inappropriate, but
I'm not sure. We'll discuss it off camera. I'm not sure.
But there are people out there that are literally at birth born addicted to drugs.
Yes.
It is not their choice because it's not an honest choice. An honest choice is a completely non-biased, you have this option and this option, which are you going to choose? That is an honest choice. But if you already have a predisposition towards addiction or a predisposition towards risky behavior, which frankly is everybody under the age of 25, or you were born addicted to a substance, which there are more of those than you think there are, it is not an honest choice. It is not an honest choice. That is not a non-biased choice. That it's like offering somebody $1 million of cash or $1. It's that kind of choice. Like, oh sure, it was a choice. You chose the $1 million. But honestly, if that's your predisposition and you need the money, you're going to pick the $1 million. Frankly, if you don't need the money, you're going to pick the $1 million. So like, it's not a real choice, even though it's a choice. It's a bad analogy, but like there's choice and then there's choice. And this is one of those things that's choice because it's a disease. Like the people that are addicted to opiates because their doctors prescribed them. Wrong word. Their doctors prescribed to them. They took it for medical reasons. But because of a genetic predisposition towards addiction, they are now addicted to it and struggling with all of the things that addiction brings with it. Was that a choice? No, it wasn't. They did what their doctors told them to do. And yes, there is a place for opiate pain management. Don't get me wrong. I have taken them. But it's done carefully and it's done only when necessary. They used to be overused a lot. They're used a lot more sparingly now.
Well, because
and with a lot more...
That's part of the scandal is the pharmaceutical company was...
Lied.
Yeah.
They lied. Flat out, blatantly bullshit.
Yeah.
No, it's good for you. You'll be totally fine.
Yeah.
They knew.
So.
They ran the studies. The evidence was all there. It was like freaking cigarettes all over again. Anyway, parental rating. It's rated PG-13. It should be rated PG-13. I don't think it needs any higher rating. No. And I absolutely recommend it once your kids are old enough to understand what's happening.
But...
As always, preview it first.
So...
all right, we've got to wrap this up
go,
because we managed to go till 9:30 anyway.
Yeah. So next week we've got the proposal.
Yay! And we are a week ahead again, so we should have no more cancellations because we go to watch a movie and realize that it's inappropriate for our channel, or we hate it and we don't have time to tell you guys a change. We're a week ahead again. We watched 2 movies this week.
Yep.
We made it.
And then later this month is Practical Magic.
Yes, our last one of the month is Practical Magic. Unfortunately, neither of these movies are streaming anywhere, but you can rent them for $4 on Vudu or wherever else.
Yep. Always check your library, of course.
Always check your local library. Give your local library business. Keep them running. Donate when you can. And
then... one more time before we let you go, I do want to say the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration helpline is 1-800-622-HELP. That's 1-800-622-4357.
And the suicide hotline?
Yeah, you want to do it?
Sure.
I can do it.
Wait, so you've already got it.
All right, National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255.
Again, 1-800-273-8255.
Yep.
Please, if you're struggling, reach out. The people that answer those phones are not just regular Joe Schmo who needed a job. These are people who receive extensive training in order to help you at whatever place you're at. Okay, and I don't mean physically. I mean literally, like if you're not sure if you need help or you just don't know, call.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're to the point where you're wondering if you're addicted to something, you need to reach out. It's basically what you need to do. Same thing with suicide ideology and self-harm. Please reach out for help. And on that cheerful note, we will be back next week, 8 p.m. Central on Monday, to discuss The Proposal, which we both are big fans of. And we will try not to rap for you next week, although it will be a struggle.
And then Mad Misadventures. Mel and Paul play games live Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
We are currently on hiatus for mental health reasons. We're both recovering from our own stuff at the moment. We will be back eventually. It's just for now, the Tuesday-Thursday show is not happening. But we do have some recorded here on YouTube. Definitely go check them out. Yeah. Paul and I think we're absolutely hilarious. I'm sure we're not, but we think we're funny.
I laugh occasionally.
Kind of like Zim and I do. So we believe we're hilarious. So go and...
I'm a legend in my own mind, so...
And I guess we haven't been doing it, but I guess the typical YouTube line that we end on is like and subscribe for more. Right? Isn't that what all the YouTubers say? Right? There's like a button somewhere, right?
Right.
Will it be there?
No,
it'll be down below our video, right? Like it'll be like I don't know.
Further. Keep going. There, right there.
We're professionals. Like the videos, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to build our following here. Like I said, we were on Twitch. We moved over here because we disagreed with some of the things that they were doing. Yeah. And so we are here on YouTube now. Tegwin thinks we're funny. She's my mom. She's biased. All right, we will see you next week right here on our YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Central.
Same mad time, same mad channel.
We will see you guys. Take care.
Not new.